Fat Joe was a legend in hip hop before he became a rapper because of your crew. Right, you shouted him out on records.
Right,
you put him in videos. So me being a young,
we all from the same projects.
Yeah, me being a young dude, it was like his full name at that time was Fat Joe the Gangster.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like Fat Joe is the gangster of the crew.
Both his names are good because usually when you have your first name, it's not really that popping. But Fat Joe the Gangster could have wrote too.
Right, and then there's Joey Crack.
It's like with Common when he was Common Sense.
Right, right. Speak to me about the vision that Fat Joe had, because nobody looked at him like a lyricist. When Flo Joe dropped, me as a fan, we were like, who is this? Why is that dude rapping? He's the gangster. You know what I'm saying? And then Fat Joe, when you get to when you start with Flo Joe, which was a very good record, but it felt like he was just starting to dip his toe in this shit.
Right, no doubt.
When you get to 97, when y'all doing Digging in the Crates, like one-offs, you know what I'm saying? Now, at this point, Fat Joe had been sparring with Pun. Right. So now his blade
when you're around nice people,
his blade was crazy.
Yeah.
I went back and revisited some, because when I first started my career was the second resurgence of Digging in the Crates. That's when you start seeing those records in Fat Beats. You know what I'm saying? Y'all came together as a crew.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, we gonna come together as a crew, put out show these niggas how we get
Day one.
Day one. We've been doing this shit since day one.
Right.
Fat Joe was he was on that mic with Big Al. He's on that mic with AG, with Killers. You know what I'm saying? And he was holding his own. And sometimes batting cleanup. And then he went on to dominate in the industry with Terror Squad and make big, huge records. And then he, went into Trials and Tribulations.
That's right.
Got arrested, came back
got back on his feet.
Got back on his feet.
That's right.
What is it? Did you see? Obviously, you saw that early. But what was it about Joe? What did he have?
Joe, he just had the passion.
Okay.
He had the passion. I remember the first day he approached me. He's like, "Yo, I want to try to do the music thing."
Right.
I ain't believe him at first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he was into a whole bunch of other shit.
Right.
His passion. You know what I mean? Everything Joe got, he worked hard for it. Nobody gave that man nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to respect Joe. He's been relevant. Damn near almost 3 decades.
Yeah, like people don't really understand. People, I think, are not really looking at his story as like he is hip hop.
Oh, no
Puerto
question.
Rican dude from the Bronx and had to fight and scrap for his. Dominating underground and dominating the charts.
He was a graffiti writer.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny, but, I remember watching Joe do the Electric Boogie. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, he definitely embodies hip-hop.
Talk to me about the special excellence of the legend of Big L.
Oh, man. Going too soon.
Absolutely.
Going too soon. I think L released, 2 albums?
The Lifestyles.
Columbia, the one on
and
Ruckus.
The Ruckus one, right.
Going too soon. Lord Finesse brought him into the fold. You listen to a lot of early Big L. He sounds like Finesse.
Yeah.
And then,
there was a style that was developed.
No doubt. The punchline style.
Yeah. That's way more influential than hip hop than people give that crew credit for.
Definitely.
Yeah, because that changed the game. Like I remember New Music Seminar, like before Super Nat and them was freestyling.
Right.
It was like that style was dominating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how Finesse got his first deal.
New Music Seminar.
He ain't even win that year.
Yeah, he was just nice with it.
Yeah, the people in the crowd, they dug it.
Right.
Yeah.
Big L, I never met Big L. He put his record.
Oh, okay.
Never met him. I ain't have the pleasure to meet him.
Okay.
But I'm associated with him through the Ruckus connection.
Of course, right.
Yeah, man. His
What's your favorite Big L track?
Flamboyant is the one I like the most. I mean, MVP. I like MVP. I like Flamboyant.
Right.
And what's the one with Kid Capri?
I like
Put him on.
Ebonics.
I like Ebonics, but Ebonics is like that's the one I think everybody's gonna pick. Like that's the defining Big L record. But yeah, I mean, Ebonics was a revolutionary record.
Oh yeah.
It's revolutionary.
Definitely.
Like concept wise, owning is a black record.
Right.
It's a black record.
Unapologetically.
The Ebonics conversation started in academics, and what's interesting about it is it was a bunch of professors who were trying to be progressive and saying, look, people of color and black people, they come from environments that, because of society and because society's not fair, they don't get taught English in the same way. So we can't judge their intelligence based on how they speak. Just because someone speaks slang don't mean they're not intelligent.
Correct.
And so you had a bunch of professors trying to roll it out, and I think the name was clunky, Ebonics. It sounded like, and what the story became in the press was, oh, you got colleges trying to teach people how to speak slang. And why would I send my kid to college to learn how to speak black and speak slang? And that wasn't it. What they were trying to do was they trying to acknowledge the fact that you had black kids come from the hood.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But the conversation got spun.
Yeah, you got spun, right.
Yeah, and so for Big L to take ownership of that, and break it all down, I'm gonna break this slang shit down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
In a dope way.
Yeah, he owned it for hip hop.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is Big L did for Ebonics, a young kid from from uptown did for Ebonics what all those professors couldn't do.
Right.
He made it work.
In 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, in 2.5 minutes.
Right.
Why do you think that Ebonics is not considered another language? Because a lot of black people, we're bilingual. You can speak Ebonics. I'm being honest.
But we code switch. It's the same language, but we use the words different. We use the.
But patois is not the same thing, and that's that's a dialect. I feel like it's another language.
Well, I think comparatively, what we African American slang or Ebonics or whatever is considered a dialect, a separate dialect, like patois is. But patois is deeper rooted, so it's harder to understand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Creole, patois, all that's deep root. You got to really listen. You got to be in that culture. They speak in English, but you got to speak in that culture.
Right.
Same thing for,
same thing in Charleston, right?
Yeah. Same thing for what we call mumble rap. Sometimes, you speak to me be from New York, I might speak to a nigga from Atlanta and not understand what he's saying.
It's a whole different language. You got to get your translators in.
What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party. When opportunity knocking, then young nigga move that door. Whoa, get your foot stuck, get it, call me young, go get it. Now you can't fuck with it, might as well roll with it.